Statistical analysis to enhance the writing process with information tool. Hector Ramiro Ordoñez Zúñiga, MA, Instituto Politecnico Nacional, Mexico City. Introduction. When we try to have our students to achieve the higher command of proficiency in English, we understand that they have to command the four skills. However, writing is one of the most neglected activities because according to the general perceptions of some teachers, writing does not have enough time to be sparing the class because most of the focus is directed to having the speaking activities. But we need to consider that there are three fundamental dimensions in writing. Those are the features of the text produced according to the level, according to the task, composing process used by the students and how they are going to tackle these activities, and the sociocultural context that is going to be the reflection of the self of the student in the written word. But there is something very important that we have to consider. Learners improve the complexity and accuracy of the syntax and morphology in their written text over time. This is by having enough time and being constant in their studies in English, they can achieve a higher level of complexity when they are producing the text, that this will also be reflected in the ability of speaking, listening, and reading. And we are going to talk about readability as a statistical tool which can help students to improve by themselves the way they are writing, and that is, they are going to have a speaking also in a better way. We understand readability as the ease with which a reader can understand a written text. It depends on the complexity of its vocabulary and syntax and the presentation of the text itself. That is, the more complicated syntax and vocabulary used is going to be more difficult to read. Or maybe I have to decide if I need to use a simple vocabulary, not so complicated grammar structures, and that's going to help to have a much better text that is going to be understood by most of people. In this time of the pandemics around the world, collaborative writing has been a useful tool that can tackle the problem, and if we combine with these readability tools, it's going to be a much better resource for students and teachers as well. We all know these tools that we can access mostly for free, that is the Word Online version of the OneDrive suite, or we can use Google Docs in order to have our students, and this can be integrated into other Google products that can be helpful in the way that we can teach during this strange time that we are living. Using this can help our students to edit and reflect and make comments to each other, and the process of collaborative writing is also going to be improved in a more significant way, instead of having this individual work that it is allowed for teachers and students aside. We have to understand that the writing process consists of three parts. The first one is preparing the text, when you have the reading that you require to write and discussing these readings, or the information that you acquire or you require to get this information in order to produce a text. So, very important in the discussion process, we need to understand what is the text, what is the outcome, what is the reason we are writing. Once we focus on the writing stage is when we are going to draft one, two, or the times that it is required, and it's going to have the editing process that we can get the text into the final product. Once we have the final version, okay, the text is delivered, and it could be assessed by teacher or by the rest of the class. And in this case, if we are having a more sophisticated collaborative task writing, we can combine all the text in order to have this. Using the context of my current work, as I work at the Escuela Superior de Ingeniería y Arquitectura Unidad Tecamachalco from Instituto Politecnico Nacional, which is located in Mexico City, that we have around 5,400 students. English is a compulsory subject and it includes 3 terms in the program. So English is important for our students so they can interact with the world of construction and architecture in the world. As an example, they had a task by reading a text called Designing for Social Justice from Lessons from Chicago Architects written by Diana Botts. They will have the reading comprehension activities as usual. They are going to take notes in an individual way. After that, they will socialize the reading and saying their points of view, what they agree, what they disagree, and after that they are going to have a case study located in Mexico City, mostly about the zones of gentrifications we are having in the city, and after that they are going to have the collective writing. The example here is the note-taking from one of the students, which in individual work he wrote the following. The great economic power is in a city. The type of isolation towards certain communities who do not have it or are another group becomes very clear. We can find an example of this in Chicago where people of color were removed to have a good look. After this, it was analyzed using these readability formulas and in special the Flesch-Kincaid readability test. So the difficulty was rated for a secondary student, so a person from 10 to 12 years old is able to understand this, and he could write 167 words in total by using only 37 unique words or tokens, which represents 22% of this. Use 12 words per sentence, 13 sentences, and 3.1 characters per word. When they discuss and they start drafting and editing, one of the drafts was like this. In the collaborative work, they have the following. Within the social architecture, there are several variations of what can be promoted, although most of the concepts pursue the same goal. The goal that social architecture wants to achieve is to be able to mix the social and political sciences so that this fusion ends with what is to give privileges to those who have more and despise those who have less. Having the same concept and in the collaborative way, the difficulty of the reading was also elevated to a postgraduate student, so that is a person who is 16 or more years old, and the final text was 1,095 words with 795 unique words. That is an increase of vocabulary which was very significant. They used 30 words per sentence, which was not the best thing, but it is also an improvement. They wrote 64 sentences and employed 4.9 characters per word. As a conclusion, by having these tailored activities and using statistics in the way that they can try by themselves and be the judge of their own work, this is a very important way to improve their skills, not only by writing, but as well as speaking, reading, and listening, because now they are more aware of what the meaning the text is providing. This gives a sense of self-realization, which they can feel that all the years, all the time that they are investing on their learning of English is giving results. And most important, it is forcing them to read more, to acquire more information in order to have a more complex text. And of course, this is going to help with the social integration. If you want more information about the readability formulas, the way it is employed, and a free tool to have this resource, you can visit www.readabilityformulas.com, where you can find very useful resources. So here is part of the bibliography that you can consult or have as a further reading. And lastly, I thank you very much for your time and your attention.